I'll get you, you son of a bitch. Ah, you're going down. Get you. Come on. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the take they went with. Just imagine the takes they left on the cutting room floor. Cinema. I'm John Rant with the retro review of The Bean. Not The Bean, not Mr. Bean attacking people, not a pinto bean or a Ford Pinto or just a standard bean that grows into a beanstalk, and then Jack climbs up the giant beanstalk and beats the giant and gets gold for his family. No, like The Bean as in without the human, because we're just going The Bean. This is from 1983. This is 40 years ago that this movie came out, and this movie doesn't even look like it would pass for 1973. It barely looks like it would pass for 1965. It was written and directed by Jackie Kong, who did Blood Diner, a movie I've been meaning to revisit. And it allegedly had a $4.5 million budget. I would like to know where the rest of the $4 million of the $4.5 million went, because Christ all fucking mighty, this movie was goddamn awful. Not that I expected much from the description. Martin Landau was in this. Martin Landau was in a lot of shit throughout his career, but always did it to the best of his ability, even though he was totally slumming it in this goddamn movie. But he isn't the star in this, even though he's the biggest name actor of anybody in this, even though that's unfair to Marianne Gordon. But Bill Osco, that's O-S-C-O, just so I can get that correct, is the main star. And the only reason he was in this was because he was married to Jackie Kong at the time, and my oh my, this is fucking nepotism. He narrated, he was a detective, Mortimer Plumtree, no wait, Mortimer Lutz. He was more like a klutz, or a putz. In fact, putz would be more appropriate. Look, I don't know if he's a nice guy or not, I really don't care, but there's a reason why a lot of people don't ever get into movies or stay in movies for all that goddamn long, because this guy was fucking atrocious. And it's not like, oh, horror movies that have one bad character or one annoying supporting character that really isn't all that good, maybe has a couple other roles, and you don't hear from them again. Or the reminder character where you're like, well, boy, that really wasn't all that great. It must have been a favor to a friend. This guy gets so much screen time of the near 81-minute runtime of this movie that is so incomprehensible, such a mess. It's set in a small Idaho town. Hey, nah, 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 nah. Hey, nah, nah, nah. It's set in a small Idaho town. Hey, nah, nah. Not the lights of a northern town. It's so goddamn dark, you can't see what's going on. Mutants are running amok. Amok, 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 amok. And, yeah, because there's a dump site for radioactivity that's getting in the drinking water or getting into the ground or getting somewhere and causing various people to mutate. Various people are disappearing and mutating. It's not like the movie Mutant that had a man called Wings Hauser in it. Yes, that's the actual name of a person that got an acting gig. His parents named him Wings Hauser, and he is more credible than anything that was in this. Mutant came out around the same time. I think it actually came out a couple years before this, and while not perfect, at least was creative and had some good stuff as far as its, concept, and had a lot of inbred hicks and everything and whatever. And since this is in Idaho, you could expect some hicks, because I've been to Idaho. Some very nice people. Also a lot of hicks out there. Not everything is exactly great and, all progressive thinking in the Pacific Northwest. So if it seems like I'm delaying talking much about this movie, it's because it's just a bunch of indiscriminate attacks with a few halfway decent makeup effects, a couple decent gore effects, but it's also edited with garden shears. I mean, just large chunks are taken. It's all patched together. This must have either been from the first draft, or it must have been from the only goddamn draft, or possibly after the writer ingested Miller Genuine draft. Oh, wait, the writer and director is the same person. That kind of makes sense. And I'm sure Jackie Kong had a good idea here. Maybe the studio said, we're going to give you $4.5 million, but we want to make sure that you make this really, really bad. So Jose Ferrer was in this. He was in Dune. And somebody named Kent Perkins, it was also the associate producer. And Johnny Dark. No, really, that was the name of one of the actors here. There's an old lady that was looking for her son, and there was almost an implication that she might have gone batshit insane and kept her son as a mutant. But the thing is, a lot of slime was used in this, almost like Slimer had decided to stop off here before going to the first Ghostbusters movie. But yeah, the $4.5 million budget would be $14 million today. The first Halloween was made for about $350 to $400,000. The first couple Jason movies were made for, what, $1 million or $2 million? And this got $4.5 million. This got more money than some slashers, than a couple sci-fi movies that came out, that were like low budget and everything, and they made more of their budget than this did. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, this was goddamn atrocious. I can't even begin to describe it. You guys gotta see this just to see how bad it is. It is on Amazon Prime, so if you have an Amazon membership, you won't have to worry about it. But let's just get into the stuff here. So, yeah, Pottsville, Idaho was actually not, I don't actually think it's a legit town. Or at least it's, if it was, it's no longer. So, yeah, narrator welcomes us. That is Bill Osco. And again, Christ almighty, this guy's awful. So, there's a store, advertising Lane's Potatoes, because Idaho, they love their potatoes there. The ultimate terror has taken over Pottsville, Idaho, and it will never be the same again. So, no one notices the slime in this car after this guy gets decapitated. There's blood on there, so okay, he disappeared, but that's alright. We're just investigating. Nobody notices the slime on the seats. The car scene where the guy gets decapitated is hilarious. It gets ripped off, and somehow his arms are still flailing. I guess, whatever, muscle memory. And a lot of this stuff looks really fake, even for 1983. I mean, it's almost baffling how inept and stupid this movie is. Again, totally check it out. The voice dubbing, though, I mean, it must have been dubbed in post, because it seems like the voices were shipped in from another goddamn zip code. It's amazing. Like, nobody's lips really seem to match up, and I don't know if that was just me checking out this goddamn movie, or just the fact that the post-production was so fucking bad. Again, $4.5 million for this. Other monster movies made more stretch out with less. So clearly everybody on this goddamn set was just like, yay, we got a whole bunch of money, well, let's just do this. This was dog shit. It was horribly inept, horribly acted, horribly goddamn written. I mean, there's nowhere to go but up, except for Bill Osco, who Mortimer Putz, as it were. The discount Clint Howard running the movie theater at one point kind of made me laugh. And then there was a discount pedo guy that looked like he wouldn't be allowed to even say school restrictions. But nevertheless, they're mutant creatures from this, from this complex that's basically a model in the middle of like a goddamn landfill. And again, I know $4.5 million. You couldn't have shot just one industrial plant somewhere and said, yeah, this is where it is. Seriously, you couldn't have afforded to do that with a $4.5 million budget? Was $3 million of it dedicated to booze? Kind of makes sense. Very dark scenes where you can't tell what the hell's going on. There's an implied romance with, I assume, Laurie and Bill Osco's Mortimer. At this point, I just totally checked out of a lot of the characters. Like, none of the characters are killed indiscriminately, but there's actually no characters. It's people on screen, but they have no character. And then there was this Easter egg hunt where this little girl found this prize egg in this, like, pit. And also, I was convinced the Straw Hat Lady leading the Easter egg hunt was actually one of the mutants. She at least looked like that. She didn't even need makeup. So, the illegal dumping. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, Martin Landau. Everything. Who are these people is what I wrote in capital letters 5 different times on these notes. And I watched this movie and even rewound it a few times to see if I had missed something. And no, we just suddenly get random scenes happening. We get Martin Landau, who's investigating all this stuff and all this illegal dumping and trying to figure this crap out. You think he's the villain, but no, it's actually the mayor. Maybe it's not the mayor. Maybe the real villain were the people that funded this movie along the way. Free parking while banking. Well, at least you know that Idaho is all about making sure that banking customers can save more of their money. There's an actual sign on the side of a goddamn building. And then there was a little side plot about a massage parlor that people assumed was going to be smut, and there was a line about keeping pornography out of the state. It's Idaho. I have not seen that many people in Idaho that could probably spell pornography. Seriously, a lot of goddamn backwoodsy racist motherfuckers out there. Not all of them, but there are certain churches when you drive into parts of Idaho immediately from the Washington or Oregon borders, and you're like, oh yeah, we're back in the 1950s right here. So then all of a sudden, like, we have Bill Osco and Martin Landau teaming up, and then there's this black and white plane scene. What is happening? What is going on here? I don't understand. The movie didn't understand. And suddenly, Martin Landau gets pulled out of this scene and pulled out of the plane, and it's like black and white. If the whole movie had been done in black and white, that might have actually made the movie better. It couldn't have made it any worse. And the reason the mayor is doing this and doing all the illegal dumping is for potatoes. Why? Because potatoes are big business, I guess, is the whole point of this whole thing. The illegal dumping is so he can get money. It's like that episode of The Simpsons where they had to move Springfield out because of all the illegal dumping of garbage. Oh, I almost wish it was, drugs. Some of it is, and it's being shoved underneath. Like, really, that's actually what this reminds me of. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where The Simpsons got their inspiration and made it better, because it would be harder to make the bean less shit than it actually is. And definitely, it would be even more difficult to make it more shit. So, anyway, there's this one point where, like, the old lady Marge is looking around, Homer? And there's all this slime around. She's walked home at one point by Marion Gordon. And there's all this slime around. Oh, that's from Michael. Wait, who's Michael? And then because it's her missing son. And it's almost implied that her missing son could actually be a mutant in the house that hasn't killed her. There's this weird Cyclops mutant that shows up a little bit later on. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. They're light sensitive. That it's barely explored. At 81 minutes, this movie feels like it's about twice as long as it actually is. And there's 52,000 dump sites across the U.S. Oh no, they're implying we're going to get a lot of sequels. The illegal dumping worked in Return of the Living Dead. Even Return of the Living Dead Part 2, where they're throwing brains out the back of a moving truck. And the funniest part actually was way earlier in the movie at this old, like, drive-in movie theater where this big blonde with very nice tits got killed by some mutant creature, and then a brunette with a fairly nice rack, I'm just going to say that right there, got attacked, and so did her boyfriend, and that was at the drive-in. Talk dirty to me, do. And then the mutants are just killing indiscriminately. None of this makes sense. At one point, there's this dinner party interrupted because this one guy drives out of his garage, seemingly not wanting to hear his wife sing opera, and then the mutant strangles him. Yeah, I hate opera too. I actually don't hate opera too. I hate opera, The Revenge. No, never mind. There's a cat in there. The cat turns into a mutant, I think. Cat was adorable. It reminds me of a stupid Persian I had that would always run into the door and then lay down and wonder why she had a headache. Because inbreeding, because that's what purebred cats are. They're inbred. Nevertheless, Martin Landau gets killed in a hilarious way. There are holes all in the ground, like, as opposed to holes in the goddamn atmosphere. This isn't that kind of mutation. I did find it funny how the little girl earlier with the Easter egg, was playing around with the stuff, and the kid actually seemed pretty interested in this. In fact, the kid was the most fleshed out character in the movie, and I don't even think the kid was capable of speaking yet, and somehow had better dialogue than Bill Osco, who did that line in the beginning and couldn't act for shit. There are multiple parts where people are being, slid across like they're doing baseball slide tricks and thrown around this warehouse with all these empty boxes and all this stuff. After Martin Landau gets killed, there's this point where Bill Osco's trying to, get himself lifted up. Love, lift me up where we belong. And then he falls down onto some flour packets and this Cyclops alien creature mutant thing is trying to attack him. And then his flashlight runs out, and then suddenly he sees sulfuric acid and starts throwing sulfuric acid bottles that are labeled sulfuric acid, and then he axes the creature to death. The editing's so bad you can't tell what's going on. And then he crawls up on this chain, and the demon, or this mutant, explodes, by the way. Apparently the acid just made it explode. And then he crawls up and then does, I'm going to make it on my own, and I'm going to make it after all. And he throws his hat into the air. They forgot to do the Mary Tyler Moore, not Tootsie. Mary Tyler Moore freeze. And then the creature reaches his hand out of the goddamn thing while this one radio host, who's been doing the occasional radio spot, says something. Let's get back to that kitty country tunes. Then the hand jumps up, but the hand freezes. So was that supposed to be a still shot? Did the mutant die? I have questions I don't want answers to, because I don't want to think about this movie ever again. And then they talk about the various people in the movie, the various characters that, unless you actually committed the actors' names to memory, or committed any of them to memory, you wouldn't know who the fuck these people are. They had Bill Osco's character, though, Mortimer Putstree, as going to Hollywood to become a stuntman. So they treated this like it was goddamn serious. This movie's an atrocity. The only reason I reviewed it is because it's horror movie month, and my God, this isn't the worst thing I've seen, but it's one of the most inept things I've seen. I mean, obviously the movie gets an F, but it's entertainment in a stupid way, a really stupid way. Goddamn. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.